welcome back to Calculus 1. We are working through module 0.3 point, let's see here, I think we might be in 033, yep. Okay, we're taking a look at example number 1, which is a boat headed out from St. Thomas. The ability to read a graph and analyze what it really represents is important, not only in the study of calculus, but in a lot of other subjects. So we're going to take a little bit of time to look at a couple examples on how to interpret a graph. And so probably the most important thing to do is when you first look at a graph is figure out what your axes are. So this axis is time for us. So our horizontal axis measures time, and this axis up top measures velocity. Now velocity is just speed with direction, so you can think about it like speed. Okay, and this is in miles per hour, and this over here is in hours. Okay, now that the actual unit might not be that big of a deal depending on what you're trying to evaluate. So let's look at this first question. It says, when is the boat traveling the fastest? Well, the velocity is the speed, and so speed we're looking for how much speed do we have in terms of fastest. So we want the most velocity. Well, if we look here, our velocity is 0 at time 0, and then it looks like it creeps up to here being a maximum velocity. Okay, and then you'll notice that it comes back down here, and so this point right here is again a velocity of 0. So you can think about this: if your velocity is 0, you are stopped. Okay, and then if you think about down here with a negative velocity, that means we must actually be traveling in reverse. So we must be headed back to where we began. So this area down here, from here to here, we are headed back, and from here to here we are leaving. Okay, so it looks like the maximum velocity probably occurred at, we're going to guess, about 3 hours into the trip, and we'll say it's approximately 10 miles per hour. So when was the boat traveling the fastest? At t equals 3 hours. What does the negative velocity away from St. Thomas mean? Well, this area down here, we just talked about being negative. I shouldn't say this area, but this section of the graph being negative. And since this is negative, a negative velocity means we are headed back, so we're headed back toward the island. So you can think about this like a trip. Like you leave, okay, and you get out there, you stop for, you turn around, and then you come back. Now it looks like they may or may not have made it back. It really depends on the actual area underneath the curve. We can talk about that later. But it looks like they left a little bit more quickly than they came back. Their velocity was a little bit slower on the way back. Okay, but it looks like it happened over a longer period of time. When is the boat furthest from St. Thomas? Well, you might want to say, well, it's furthest here, but that's not true because this is a velocity. So even though down here you might think, oh, we're closer, we're really not, because we're still headed away, just not as fast as we were here. So we're furthest away once we stop to turn around, which is at 6 hours.